Haven't you heard several friends or colleagues tell you that they've gone off gluten? Have you seen those WhatsApp food menus that we get from chefs promoting gluten-free dosa batter or gluten-free bread? Suddenly, everybody around us seems to be suffering from a gluten allergy. It's like a frenzy or a fad to say that I'm on a gluten-free diet. And then there will be that one wise nani or aunt who will say, "What nonsense gluten shooten? हमारे देश में we've eaten rotis for generations. None of us suffered from any allergy. All you WhatsApp and Google doctors, I tell you." So let's begin to see who's right. Your gluten-free obsessed buddy or the wise beyond her years nani. To get beyond the madness and present a saner explanation to you, I'd like to make some basic concepts clear. Do you know the difference between an allergy and a sensitivity? And is gluten allergy the same as wheat allergy? And what about this new thing called celiac disease? Do I have it? Do you have it? Although used interchangeably, there's a big difference between an allergy and a sensitivity. It basically lies in the way your body responds to the food. When you have a food allergy, it's your immune system that's causing the reaction. And when you have a food sensitivity, it's your digestive system that's responding. Now that's out of the way, let's look at wheat versus a gluten allergy. First is, what is a wheat allergy? Wheat allergy happens because if in some people, the protein in the wheat triggers a reaction in the body and makes the body produce antibodies because they find that wheat protein an enemy. Antibodies are basically warriors your body creates to neutralize or kill an enemy. And the enemy is usually a virus, a bacteria, or a food. And in this person's case, it is a protein in the wheat. A gluten allergy, on the other hand, is the body's inability to break down the one single protein called gluten that's found in wheat and certain other grains. Celiac disease is a form of a gluten allergy, but it's an autoimmune reaction. Remember I told you that the immune system could be involved? So in celiac disease, it's an allergic response to the gluten that's found in wheat, barley, and rye. Only the gluten, not the other proteins. Now, the typical symptoms that you will see with a wheat or a gluten intolerance is similar and something that you're familiar with. Swelling, eyes burning or watering, nausea, diarrhea, bloating, gas. And the severity of those symptoms depend upon how sensitive your body is to wheat or gluten. But did you know you could actually be allergic and not realize it because some of the symptoms are very atypical, like a bone pain or a joint pain, like in arthritis, or a fatigue or a brain confusion, all symptoms of an allergy. So the next time you have a headache, I hope not, but if you do, hark back to tracing a pattern. Was wheat a common theme? Both wheat and celiac allergies have some similar symptoms, but the difference is in the intensity in terms of the impact on the body. And obviously in celiac disease, it's far greater where the body is attacking itself. So now that we have the context, let's look at who's right, Nani's wisdom or the new age Googler. The answer is both. It is true that wheat and gluten allergy or sensitivities are far more common today. And I will explain why your grandparents didn't have them, but we do. Modern wheats, which is wheat cultivated post-1960s, has certain protein structures altered in them. So the wheat varieties we eat today are far more immunoreactive in their protein versus what it was in the past, which in turn affects our digestion, and it presents itself as a wheat or a gluten intolerance. Now, why has wheat been altered? For various reasons. We wanted higher yielding crops because our population has been increasing. It made more commercial sense to grow these varieties. In some cases, we began growing wheat in areas which were not typically meant for producing wheat. And in a country like India, we imported wheat and hybridized it with a local variety. The second reason why we're seeing this increased incidence of wheat and gluten allergies, and for ease of this video, I'm going to use the term of sensitivity and allergy interchangeably, is what's happening with our food processing industry. All of us, you and me included, are eating far more processed food or food out of a packet than we did 10 to 20 years ago. And here's an interesting fact I bet you didn't know. Gluten is not just in bread, but it's added to a lot more products, whether it's potato wafers, beer, bakery products. With gluten, you're getting that nice, stretchy, gooey, stretchy dough, which makes it very easy to roll. And gluten is used in the batter coating for frozen products because it's far better than eggs. Even in whole wheat bread, there's additional gluten over and above the wheat. So today, you and I are eating far more gluten than what our body can handle. And obviously, the body is going to protest. But before we joyfully blame everyone else, the economy, everybody else raining on our parade, let's look at ourselves. We are partially responsible for the wheat allergy that we see in our body today. One of the big causes of gluten allergy is dysbiosis, a condition where your gut flora or microorganisms are damaged. And most people today are not even aware that they have it. And I've seen it so common with several Cephalika clients who joined us for some of our programs on diabetes, obesity, PCOD. Great results from just repairing their gut or getting rid of their gut dysbiosis. Now, why does gut bacteria get damaged? Several reasons. From very prolific antibiotic use or abuse, how many of us self-prescribe antibiotics, or how common it is to use them for cold, cough, chest condition, anything. Or gut dysbiosis can happen when you eat foods that your body cannot digest. A simple thing like feeding babies grains way before they're even ready for it. Or having too many carbohydrates in your diet. Or not being able to digest milk or rajma and still having them. All upset your gut bacteria. What happens then? The tight junction between your small intestine and your bloodstream begins to erode. Slowly, the food and bacteria from the intestine leak into your bloodstream where they are not supposed to be. Your immune system suddenly sees these microbes and undigested gluten fragments and says, whoa, who are these dudes? And your immune system is tricked into thinking that that gluten fragment is a microbial invader, and bam, it mounts an attack. That's an autoimmune response, and there you have your wheat or gluten allergy symptoms. Another reason why wheat is an issue today is if you eat poorly, or if your diet doesn't have the right mix of carbs, fats, vitamins, and minerals, which is very common today, your ability to suppress immune cell reaction and prevent the body from attacking harmless proteins like gluten drops dramatically. In the past, our grandparents ate far more balanced food, ate fresh home-cooked food, seasonal foods, rarely ate out. So their body could adapt to gluten and microbes far better than what you and I can do today. So that is your explanation of why we have more wheat and gluten allergies in today's time. I'm going to address a question that I've been asked pretty recently. That is, how do you test for these allergies? How do I know that I have it? You can do what everyone seems to be doing these days, which is to go for an expensive allergy test. There's an IgG antibodies test you can do. But remember, there are 17 proteins in wheat, and you could be sensitive to any one of them. The standard gluten allergy blood tests test only for the most common one and skips the other 16. Or be smarter and do the test all by yourself, eliminating gluten from your diet for 2 to 4 weeks. Remember, there's hidden gluten in soy sauce, in shampoos, sometimes even in oats. And remember, suji, dalia, lapsi, semolina are all forms of wheat. And if you feel significantly better by then, which means lighter, your tummy feels flatter, you feel more energetic, your aches and pains reduce in general, that means you are gluten sensitive and you're better off staying from them. So then what are your options? You have a huge variety at your disposal. Millets, quinoa, rice, sorghum, buckwheat or kutu, amaranth. India grows plenty of all of these. But if you still love bread like I do, then opt for sourdough bread. The fermentation process in sourdough begins to break down the gluten protein enough so that even a lot of people with gluten sensitivity can still consume it. You can also try sprouted wheat flour because the sprouted wheat digests as a vegetable, not as a protein. So it may be possible even for those with wheat or gluten sensitivities to handle baked products or rotis with sprouted flour. You can easily make it at home or buy it online. So don't fear gluten or wheat, but remember that wheat belly, which is a common term for a wheat allergy, is a far greater reality than we know it. And I have seen immense changes happening to people with chronic conditions when they eliminate wheat or gluten from their diet.